Hello, welcome to another edition of Dollar Bin Discoveries. Today we're talking about No Guts or Glory from Kevin Eastman. Alright, so Dollar Bin Discoveries is where I go into dollar bins and find some gems of comic books to go over. And I found this, and I bought it based off of the fact that it said Tundra on it, that's the publisher, and it had Eastman's logo on, or signature on it. That alone sold me. I had no idea what this comic book was or what it entailed. And then as I got more into it, I realized that this is actually a fantastic piece, and I can't believe it's actually in as good a condition it is. But like and subscribe down below, and hit the bell notification icon so you'll know you won't miss a single episode of Dollar Bin Discoveries or any of my other content. But Kevin Eastman, if you're not familiar, is one half of the duo that created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this is the Ultimate Collection, Volume 1 from IDW. I'll do an overview of this one day too, but where's the famous first cover? Okay, there it is. So Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird were roommates. Long history. Like I said, I'll do an overview of this and get more in depth with it. But it's really an anomaly and fascinating to me that these two guys were just goofing around one night, made these Ninja Turtles. These were not like established cartoonists at all. They had been publishing work, but they weren't like working for Marvel or DC by any means. Kind of did this goofy riff on this, self-published at 13,000 issues, and then they sold out instantly. Then published like another 6,000 issues, they sold out instantly, and this became this mega hit. And then became an even bigger pop culture phenomenon when it got the cartoon and the movies and all that stuff. So, and one of the great positives and negatives of the Ninja Turtles was the positives were that Kevin Eastman then came out with publishing company Tundra, and he was putting all of the money he was making from Ninja Turtles, which you can imagine was millions of dollars, because they were really smart with how they established rights and stuff like that. So they held on to the copyrights of the turtle property while still letting the people make cartoons and things. They weren't just like, oh, hey, yeah, you can do whatever you want with Turtles, you can own it, whatever, and sold out, like checked out, cashed the check early or anything like that. They were smart about it, so they had a lot of money. Kevin Eastman wanted to make Tundra, where he was just gathering any sort of interesting cartoonist to him and wanting to publish the work. They were very much inspired by Dave Sim back in the late 70s, early 80s, who was coming out with Cerebus. And he was really one of the forefront figures in comic books that was self-publishing and into self-publishing work. So they're kind of inspired by that. And Tundra predates Image, I believe. I think, yeah, if this came out in 91, it definitely predates Image comic books, which is like the one success story of people going for creative rights and creating a company where people can maintain those rights and that kind of thing. Kevin Eastman had a similar idea, but the execution wasn't the greatest. I think he needed a filter of a businessman, if you will, to make some decisions, because there's things where he would go to like San Diego Comic-Con and he would, with the mandate to find 5 interesting comic books from independent artists to then publish for Tundra. And he'd come back with like 53 comic books and ideas. So a lot of spending was happening with Tundra. Obviously, Kevin Eastman is still very much successful today. He is still writing the current ongoing series for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But it's a fascinating story. So anything that I find Tundra in a dollar bin, I'm going to pick up. This just so happens to actually be from Kevin Eastman. And this is very much a mature title. So if there's any kids watching, go to bed. But so just that's the warning. There's violence. There's I think there might even be some nudity in here. Just there's the forewarning. But I can't believe the print copy. This is from 1991, and this feels like a brand new comic. I don't know what this would be if I got CGC'd and slabbed. Probably come back. I don't know. I'm not familiar with slabbing, so it looks good though. So here it tells you a story of how this came about, and he says, "I have Scott McCloud and Steve Bissett to thank." So this is a 24-hour comic. Now, if you're not familiar with 24-hour comics, the idea is for a cartoonist to sit down with a blank slab of paper and to do a complete comic book, panel layouts, inks, pencils, lettering, and get it done within 24 hours, and that's it. That's what you have to work with. And then you find some cool way to publish it, whether it be just like a mini comic, you pass out at conventions, or you can print it like this. And this Dollar Bin Discoveries episode is not going to be necessarily a blow-by-blow review of this actual issue, because there's not a lot here, to be honest. It certainly has a story, but it's not the story that's fascinating to me. It's the fact that he was able to complete this, and he says that his took him 50 hours. So he's admitting that it took him more than one day to complete. But just the fact that he was able to pump this out in that short time span, and you can tell that the artwork's definitely on the rougher side, if you will. Like, obviously, like some of the anatomies and people are kind of fall flat. And this was the era of Eastman and Laird Turtles, where they were both working on, one would work on maybe the figures and one would work on backgrounds. So you pass them back and forth in a real collaborative effort that you don't see in comic books. So I just wanted to compare his artwork, and again, this is in tandem with Laird, but his artwork when he has more than 50 hours to work on it compared to this. So you're not buying this for the artwork necessarily. You're buying this for the fact that this is a famous comic book artist that completed an issue in 50 hours. And it's just fascinating to me. Like, this awesome, that he was able to still pump out this incredible looking piece in that short amount of time. But it's a war story. And here in the back, did he have someone else letter it? Oh, maybe he cheated there too then. No, 24-hour comics, people do them as collaborations too. Oh, April Fisher did the lettering. There's actually a documentary on Amazon Prime too about 24-hour comics. It's kind of really fascinating. It goes from the beginning where Scott McCloud came up with the idea, and then there's a whole, within the documentary, there's a comic book shop that opens its doors to local artists that want to do a 24-hour comic. And it interviews those people and interviews some more famous cartoonists that have done it in the past. So back here, Tom Skolin, who was from, what's the other publisher that worked on this? Oh, Fanico. So this is the first Fanico Tundra collaboration. And he mentions in here that there's going to be another project next, a collaborative effort between Kevin and myself entitled Zombie War. This high voltage 2-issue series will be in your hands as soon as it's done. Watch out for it. I never heard of Zombie War. I hope it's a thing. I want to get my hands on it one day because it sounds awesome to have Tom Skolin and Kevin Eastman collaborate on that. But that's it. This is No Guts or Glory from Kevin Eastman. Dollar Bin Discoveries. Like I said, subscribe down below. Leave some comments if you have any Tundra titles that you want to recommend to me. If you're familiar with this, if you're familiar with some cool 24-hour comics that were published that I could get my hands on, because just the idea of a 24-hour comic is fascinating to me. But yeah, so thanks for watching.